Hey guys, welcome to Siete Doce Podcast. We have a special guest today, Simeon Itoria. Itoria, he's going to be talking to us about health, habits, and mindset. I believe you asked me whenever we were talking about having you in the podcast if it fits on what I'm trying to do with the blue collar worker. And I
Yeah,
told you that we are the most unhealthy people out here. Me myself, health, environmental, and safety. So, we have to do a lot about health. I see guys that come to our office sometimes with, I got a headache, I don't feel good. Then you take them to the medic, high blood pressure, um, diabetes, and things like that. So, having you on here would be perfect so we can teach and show these people what they can do and myself to get better. I myself working long hours and
mhm,
stress, having to Uber Eats and things like that. You can go from gaining from 10 pounds to 20 pounds in a matter of couple of months.
yeah,
So now I'm doing better. I've lost about 20 pounds of myself. So man, I'm glad
nice.
to have you here and I can learn from you, man, and maybe I can lose another 10 more. So
Uh, well, I would say I appreciate it. First of all, congratulations on 20 pounds. Cause yeah, especially in the industry, those long hours, it makes a difference when you get that off of you. So how do you feel in your body and how do you feel mentally? The fact that those 20 pounds are gone.
man, I feel good, brother. I feel lighter, especially, the mindset too with your clothing starts feeling better. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm thinking better, and it's I mean, I feel good. I am not gonna lie. Even my son, he was like, "Are you lifting weights?" I'm like, "Man, not that much, but I lost some weight. That's what it is." He's like, "Hey, you're looking kind of bigger." I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate it, but it feels good."
Oh yeah, I'll tell you this is the best praises you get from other people because they start seeing the work that you put in. So yeah, I'm just gonna tell you congrats on that. So you say you want to lose 10 more pounds, and you're absolutely right. I was in the blue collar field. I worked in the refineries, I worked in warehouses, I worked at the Port of Houston. I did all these heavy lifting labor jobs, 12-hour plus days, whatever it was. And with that being said, I didn't eat healthy either. And it was challenging. It was those warm up burritos. Now we have Uber Eats, like you said, all that. The energy drinks to stay up, the coffee to stay up. A lot of people are throwing this into their system, not realizing it's throwing a havoc in their health. And one of the biggest concerns that I have is waiting for you to receive a hard hit in your life and health before you learn your lesson. That's the biggest thing I see for most people is struggling eating any and everything they want, and then later in life they get that slap with that big old bill, diabetes you talked about, or high blood pressure, sometimes cancer based off of foods that we eat. It's ridiculous. So that's why I wanted to have a chat with you, and I appreciate you letting me come because it does fit with the blue collar workers of knowing that we have been the or are the most unhealthy people. So appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I ask out the guys a lot of the time. Do you get an annual checkups? Like, no, man, I don't do that. I don't go to no doctor. It's like the manly thing. It's like I don't go to the doctor. Like it's a cool thing to say. Like, bro, by the time you'll know something's wrong, it'll be too late. Now you're on
Yeah.
pills and all kinds of stuff. So you have to take care of yourself now. And I've changed their mindset. A few other guys, but most of these guys they don't really care. They just think about work, 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 and that's not for me. I'll go to the doctor when I'm sick.
Yeah. You want to know where that stems from? Not going to the doctor
What's
as
that?
men?
What's
It's a
that?
programming. It's a programming. Think of it like whenever you say you're a boy, suck it up, pull your big boy
Yeah.
pants up. Want me to give you something to cry about. So throughout life, we've been told you better suck up all that pain and don't be a punk. So you can't show no vulnerability. So your vulnerability is like, I have to admit to myself there's something wrong, go to a doctor. So it's a program since we were children. Why us as men, we have a hard time saying, let me go to the doctor. And it's sad to see. But it's a program we can't break until we actually see that program. So we're going to talk a lot about program and identity today as the questions come up. So
I was able to read, the email you sent me, and because I wanted to know more about you. And you mentioned that, you had a very dark time in your life and overweight and
yeah.
and things like that. But looking back, how your mental health and then.
Oh, physical. I'll tell you this. I used to get chest pains, just random chest pains, and I had to stop. And I'm literally in the middle of a conversation or holding something. Either I grip it super hard or I drop it because I'm like, oh, I can't do anything. It's sharp chest pains. And then I didn't realize I was out of shape until I got in shape. because my breathing was completely off. Majority of us, we take these shallow breaths, and I didn't realize me going up a flight of stairs I'd had to.
Oh
So
yeah. Especially
physically,
no, no, especially, working, those blue collar jobs when you gotta go up the stairs 30, it's
yeah,
pretty bad.
yeah, the ladders and everything, and be breathing super hard. It was crazy. And having to put a harness on and barely fit, yeah, it wasn't fun. So that's physical. Mentally, we don't realize that that weight, the excess stress, everything that we're carrying, it makes us to where we're kind of separated. We're not at our best optimal self, and we show up. You're in your safety. You might look at a fire or something going on, everybody's panicking, going crazy, but you've been trained in a certain way to be the calm person in that environment. And many times when we're out of shape, when we're unhealthy, when we're eating all these things, we have what is known as the vagus nerve. It's a nerve that connects our brain and our gut. So if I'm physically out of shape, I'm eating these things, my brain is off. I'm not thinking clearly. And this is why many people have brain fog. When you walk into a room, like, what did I come in here for? And then people, they have their phone, like looking for their phone. It's like your phone's in your hand. But because what we're putting into our body, so I was physically off, but mentally I was disconnected. I was attempting to take these steps, and I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know I was unhealthy at the time. I had to get in shape. I had to get healthy before I realized I was unhealthy. And many of us are trapped in that cycle, especially us as men and women. But us as men and blue collar workers, always working, going, 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 we don't realize that we're taking havoc on our health, and it's going to show up in our day to day activities. So yeah,
Yeah, man, like you said, we don't really, like I myself, I've never had high blood pressure, right? But there was a time that my blood pressure was getting a little bit
yeah,
higher.
yeah.
And like you said, the stress level every day, working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. You might not think that, it's doing anything to your health, but man, deep down inside, you're getting wrecked inside.
Oof. Think of it like a battery. So think of working those 7 days, the 14-day off, because OSHA says, but you're working 7 12s, and you're saying, okay, how much time do you have in the middle of the day or at nighttime, depending on what hours you, night or day or night shift, whatever you're taking. Think of like you have your phone on a battery and you're asleep, you're barely getting enough. We are so much in a rush to say, hey, my phone's on 20%. I need to plug this bad boy up. But we'll work all these days and then we'll sit there and stay up all night and go party and do whatever we want to do. And then it's like, let me get 3 4 hours of sleep and think it's good enough. It's like, no, you will take care of your phone, your battery on your phone before you take care of your own energy, which unfortunately we've been programmed that way. And it's sad to see it until you wake up and say, yo, I need to take care of me more than I take care of this phone battery. So anytime you're working those long hours and you think it's not taking a toll on your health, that's wrong. That's not accurate. It's going to take its
Yeah.
toll. Yeah.
What were some of the habits or behaviors you were relying on to get through the day when
Oh, yeah. So was battling addiction. Some of y'all gonna understand this. So alcohol, sex, love, and what we don't realize is attention. But one of the big ones that we all have, don't realize, not all of us, many of us, food and sugar. Anytime we're looking for one, the sex one, we're always looking for that next hit. We're looking for that next person. So you could sit there and continue trying to get to that next space that you want in your addiction. It's pulling you from being the best version of you are. Because in the blue collar, if you work in refineries, there's probably 95, 98% men. And then you got this 2% to 5% women, and y'all trying to holler at all these women. The
facts.
it's facts. And in the refinery, they tens. In the streets, they twos. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but because of 12 hours, it's different. So, how was I getting through my day? Alcohol, looking for that lust that had me, that hooked me, trying to find the next best thing, looking on these sites, looking for different people, sugar, the sugars, the caffeines, everything for me to get through that next day. Cause I'm thinking I need to stay up. I need to work. I need to do this. And I was working, but I needed the things to keep me going. And if I didn't have those, which was a crutch, that there was not allowing me to get through my day. Because if I didn't do any of those things, I would sit still and feel like I'm a zombie. I can't do nothing. But some of us feel like we had to go, 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 go. And that's an addiction as well.
So at that point, do you feel connected with your life or were you just surviving?
I was surviving. I looked at it this way. So when it finally hit me in 2019, I looked in the mirror and I did not recognize that young man I was before. I felt lost. I felt tired. I didn't know who I was. And what happened was tears start rolling down my eyes. And I said, what is happening? Like emotionally, because the same thing we talked about that program is suck it up, be tough. You want me to give you something to cry about. I haven't cried before then. It was took 10 plus years because my grandma passed. And that's the last time I cried. So you're talking about me pensing up all these emotions. And all of a sudden, my body's saying, nope, flood out. So that point there, when I looked at myself, I realized something was going wrong. And I spoke with someone and said, hey, I feel like I'm dead on the inside. So when you're talking about surviving, I felt like I wasn't living. I was dead. So yeah, I was doing less than surviving. I was
Damn.
doing much less. Yeah, yeah.
So at that moment, when did you realize, like, you know what? It's time for me to make a change. Like, I'm living my life as chaos. Yes, I'm working, I'm doing this, but deep down inside, I'm filled with chaos. And like you said, I'm programmed to be this way, and that's not the correct way to live my life.
So it took a few months because once I said I don't know what was happening, who am I, what's happening at that point, I didn't know the next step. I just knew something was wrong, but it took several months. And what I did was I got a book called the 5 a.m. Club, which was helpful. And it talked about doing some steps. So I started working out, meditating, and mind you, I'm from Texas. Meditating was not my thing. I didn't know what that was about. Reading different books that I was reading on, as well as journaling. Because some of us, we don't face our emotions. And us as men, we feel like we don't have a safe space to share our emotions because we weren't taught that we had a safe space to share our emotions. So what do? We bottle it up and carry it. So it took me some months to start actually the process. And I didn't feel it at first. It took a little while, but once I started feeling it, I was like, oh, something's different. And then I had a friend, I don't know if she's still out here doing this, but she has a organization called Mary Jane Garden. This is when I was in California, and basically having some medicinal herbal products helped me experience something like an out of body experience so I could see what was happening. So I felt the pain in myself. I saw the things that I've done, people who hurt me, the suffering of my family, and tears started happening again. I couldn't stop it. I was like, why is this happening? What's going on? So that happened. And then it led me to like 100-day real estate challenge and because I was in real estate at that time. But out of the 100 days, 2 days was about healing and showed us about the programming that we have, the identities that we carry. We don't realize that it keeps us stuck. It keeps us continuing the same cycle, which we would call generational trauma or generational cycles. Same thing in our health. So it all coincides with that. But it took me to get to the darkest point, which led me to contemplate and then plan my suicide, but then start working on me after.
You mentioned, being in a dark place. What did that look like on a daily basis?
Numb. Many of us do it. So when you see people who are pouring down the bottle at the end of the bottle, alcohol, whether it's smoking, whatever, what we're doing is because we talked about it a while ago, us as men, we don't share our emotions. So
No,
we're
we don't.
bottling it. So whether it's drinking, whether it's smoking, whether it's looking for the next hot young thing out there, whatever that looks
The
like,
strip clubs.
the strip club, all that is because we're numbing the things that we're not facing. So we'll face the logistics of things like I gotta go work so I can pay my bills, so I can make sure to take care of so and so. Whatever happens in between there, somebody cuts you off on the road, somebody curse you out, you not getting along with your wife, your family having drama. You compress all that, not you as yourself, but us as men, compress all that, and we say, let me just throw it back here. And what we're doing is we're filling that all up, and eventually it just comes down on top of us. It may not be now, but some people they experience at 60, 65, especially when they retire, because now they were like, oh crap, now I gotta sit in my stuff. So instance, when do you think, just a question for you, okay, when do you think our demons show up the most? That voices that come up and tell us everything the most?
Maybe when you're dreaming.
Before we go to sleep. You're right. You're right though. Well, way before we go to sleep, our mind wants to go through everything at that point, and many of us can't go to sleep because that's when the most quiet happens. All them voices come up and it's like, hey, you remember this? You remember doing this? Remember this happened to you? And it's like you don't want to listen to it, so we shut it out. So it was the darkness was numbing life. So it's like I was only existing, I wasn't living. I was getting through the day by vices, by numbing the pain, by eating myself to I don't want to say coma, but yeah, it's we trade off different things for it. So it was a life of numbing. Forgive me. It was an experience of numbing. It wasn't life. It was an experience of numbing. That's it.
And you mentioned being numb. I personally went through something similar, but no alcohol addiction or nothing like that, but
Yeah,
just being by
good.
myself. I was in the Virgin Islands and
Yeah.
I was out there for 3 years and I would work a lot. Once the bank account started going up and higher, I used to ask myself, like, what's the whole point now? Like,
Mm,
what's the whole purpose? Everything is paid off. I'm working like a madman,
mhm,
but I don't feel any happier. I'm over here. I'm missing my child. I had a girlfriend at the time. I'm not with my girlfriend. We're
yeah,
arguing for whatever
mhm,
reason. And I'm just, to me, working that many hours, making that much money, for me, it was a lot of money.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
it felt like, yeah, I'm getting it done. But at the end of the day, I'm just dying inside because I'm by myself. I'm not happy, at the end of the
mhm,
day. It got to a point that sometimes my girlfriend would call me and be like, "Hey, man, I didn't have no signal," or,
yeah, yeah,
just that's how it is because I didn't want to talk to nobody.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's in that numb part. Once I figured out that, look, the money's not making me any happier, I said, you know what? I got to go home.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad you had to go through that experience. Especially as us working these long hours, I want you to consider it this way. It says majority of people they're chasing the money, right? Money is not in the top three most important things of your life. What about relationships, health, time? You can have all the money in the world, but if your health is crap, you die tomorrow. What's the point? Same thing with time. You have all the money in the world. If you have all the money in the world, but you're lonely, what's the point?
Yep.
So it's like instead of focusing on this is a good transition right here. Instead of focus on chasing that money, think about the things that's important to the life. So that makes a difference. So if you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to put my health on the back burner for money," oh, that's an investment you're making. You're making in the wrong investment because you get hurt tomorrow, your job will replace you tomorrow.
Oh, it
That's how it
replace.
goes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it goes. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I gave him 2 weeks notice and they laid me off the first week. You know what I mean? I said, "Hey, man, I'm leaving in 2 weeks." Then they called me on Friday on my day off. They were like, "Hey, man, we're gonna have to lay off on Monday because we're doing a
Don't tell me
big
you got
major
laid off
layoff."
on your.
Yeah, I got laid
Don't
off
tell me you
on
got
a
laid off on
Friday.
your day off.
Yeah, yeah. But it was all good though, So yeah, man, the job is still gonna be there. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, they'll replace you like that. If you
yeah,
think that you such a big shot that just because, they tell you at work, bro, you're not.
yeah,
They'll
yeah.
replace you in a heartbeat. So let me ask you, so you say you were going through all these things in your life. Was it hard for you to hide it to your friends and family, or they didn't have no clue, or you had someone reach out to you and you just didn't want to pay attention to them, or
So no, it's easy to hide. So if you're like a full blown alcoholic, people see it, right? If you're on like some form of drug, like a hard drug, people see it. When it comes down to sex addiction, you can't see that. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors. When it comes down to eating, and that was eating based off of how we were raised, how we were trained. And many of us do that. We just had Thanksgiving recently. You see how many people stuffing their face. Christmas coming up, New Year's coming up, and then everybody want to jump on a New Year's resolution bandwagon. But it's like they couldn't tell. They wouldn't know because we all are suffering. We're just who's better at hiding it. So that's it. It's an addiction we many of us have is concern about what people think about us. So what we do is we try to hide our stuff so no one will know what we are doing. No, they couldn't know. They didn't know because the alcohol wasn't like super out there. It wasn't I don't want to say I was an alcoholic because I was still drinking, but
yeah.
it was that. Yet at the same time, it's like you couldn't see what was happening because my big one was the lust. That's what had me hooked.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so no, they couldn't tell. No one reached out to me. They didn't start reaching out to me until I started putting all my stuff out there. Like literally went on the internet and put all my stuff out there. I'm like, why? Because I'm like, now I have nothing to hide. Here I am. This is who I am. So yeah.
So what was the biggest misconception you had about health back then?
It's the same thing we talked about earlier. Meaning like I don't gotta sit there and go do no checkup. I don't gotta check into myself. I'm good. I'm still young. I could do this or whatever. Time flies by so fast. But one of the biggest misconception is thinking that you could just eat all you want, drink all you want, do all you want, and you'll be fine. It's like that's a lie that I was telling myself, and many of us do it today. So I don't know if it's a misconception or same. I don't know. A lie I was telling myself, and many of us we lie to the person we lie to more than anybody else are ourselves.
Yep. That's
Yeah. It's 70 to 80% of what you put into your body, your digestive system, and only 20 to 30% of physical activity. So
mm,
you could work out all you want, but if you're not eating right, you're cutting the results. You're not getting the best benefit of your physical activity because what's the purpose of you working out so much but then you eating like crap?
mhm.
You're gonna look good on the outside at some point, but the inside is gonna be trash.
Okay, so let me ask you about holistic health. Working in
Mhm.
the Virgin Islands, I met a lot of Rastafari. Are you Rasta by any chance, or
So so for all the uncles and everybody, so the family is from Jamaica. So I don't know, you can't see it, but here's down there.
what?
So
Long?
yeah, yeah. But
So how does
go ahead.
your friend with knowledge of medicinal herbs influence your health?
So getting back to nature, the natural way of things. Think of it this way. I like to say it this way. Look at the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden didn't have Twinkies, it didn't have ho-hos, it didn't have all that other stuff. It gave us from what grew from the earth and allow us to eat what comes from nature. And God, universe, source, however you look at it, anybody here, think of it this way. If it didn't come from the earth, it didn't come from the source, why are we continuously put into our body? So I had one person say it this way. How can you expect life from eating from death? It's like, wait, what? It's like, how can you expect life from eating from death? You're eating these chemicals made from man in a lab so they'd be addictive to you. And you're wondering why you feel tired. You're wondering why you're fatigued. You're wondering why you can't show up just fully energized. It's like you continue eating the things that's killing you. And we don't realize it. Some of the foods, whenever you go through a awakening health, holistic wellness, you look at the majority of the grocery store and you're like, majority of this isn't food. It's like this is chemicals labeled as food. And then when you realize that most of our farms, our bigger farms, aren't doing a whole bunch of tomatoes and bell peppers. Yes, we have farms for that. However, the biggest ones are soybean as well as corn. Why? To go into the processed foods, your vegetable oils, seed oils. The corn goes into all. It's once you realize getting back to nature, natural ways, holistic wellness, mind, body, spirit, and emotions, everything shifts. It transitions from sickness to health, from scarcity to abundance, all mindset, body, everything. So it's a significant shift, especially in identity.
You mentioned chemicals, right? All the things that we eat, our kids, all the stuff that they eat is basically chemicals. And our fathers, our uncles, our great grandparents, they lived a long, 90, 100 years old because
Mhm.
everything that they ate was from nature, from the earth. From they just killed it to your house.
Yeah,
Now, what you're eating is the chicken sits there for weeks and months, and
yeah,
then you take it to the house and it sits there for another week.
yeah,
And and I think I feel that that's what's also killing us.
yeah. So you ever seen those the Asian seaweed salad, just seaweed that you can eat? I went to HEB one time and picked up one of those. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be healthy. It's a seaweed salad. This is healthy. I flip it over and there's an ingredient in there. And I said, I gotta look up this ingredient because I don't know what it says. It says it causes paralysis. Why is that in my food? Why is that in a seaweed salad? So a roll
Ah,
of I'll tell you this, one of the greatest transformation that anybody could do, and it's simple. Start reading your labels. And not just go where it says how much sugar is all this other stuff. I'm talking about where it says your ingredients. If it doesn't, if it begins with an X, ends with an L, you're like, wait, hold on, what does this word say? If you can't pronounce it, if you couldn't spell it by yourself, why would you put it into your system? So if you just go and read your labels and say, is this food or is this not food? Because those burritos, that's usually my thing. The chimichangas, I used to sit there and throw those in the microwave. I don't use the microwave anymore, but you throw it in the microwave, come back, eat that. If you look at the back of them, you're like 50 ingredients. Why? Why does this have 50 ingredients? It makes no sense. So the biggest transformation, you talking about that 10 pounds earlier, looking at what the foods, because people have this ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is just ignorance. So until we educate ourselves and see like what's going inside of our digestive tract, because I want you to consider this way. Our digestive tract, that goes from the anus all the way to the tip of the tongue. You have small intestine, stomach, large intestines, anus, all that. So think of it this way. Your vehicle, we will take, as men especially, we will take care of our vehicle. We put the nice gas in there. We put the synthetic oil just so make sure our motor, which is the engine, which is driving the heart of the entire vehicle, but our digestion system will throw anything in there. You won't go throw sugar in a tank, but you'll throw sugar in your stomach. You won't sit there and put go drink. You won't put vegetable oil inside your car, but you'll put it inside your stomach. So until we start reading labels, one of the biggest things, most significant things you could do for your health today, just start reading your labels. Start making them be aware. Because now when you read the labels and you look at the back and say, nah, that ain't food. I won't put this in my stomach. Now you have to make a conscious choice to say, hey, am I in control of this? Or is convenience, is habit, is trauma, is addiction in control of this? And I'm going to still eat it after you read it. So that will make a shift in anybody's health if they just start reading the labels of the foods they eat. Big shift.
And and even too, like the stuff that is healthy,
Mhm.
let's say lemonade with no sugar, but it's sweet. How can you
Yeah.
explain that?
You know what I've been told this way? If you think it costs money today, imagine we get that doctor bill later, or doctor bill
Yeah,
later.
that's true.
Yeah. So it's
That's
an
true.
investment into ourselves. We invest in our cars, we invest in our things, we invest in the things outside of ourselves. But eventually
That's
it's all
true.
gone because we're not here. So, and you're right though. It's reading that, but then also being aware that, hey, they are expensive. That lemonade is sweet because it doesn't have sugar. It has some form of chemical in it to make it sweet. So if it don't have sugar and it's sweet, red flag, something's going on. Because last time I bit into a lemon, it wasn't sweet. It was tart.
Mm,
It was sour. So yeah, but yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree with you that one. It's just if we think it's expensive today, imagine the doctor bill we get later. For mine.
You mentioned Dr. Silby, right? What do you think that they don't want us eating healthy?
Mhm. Slavery is not done. Slavery is just a new face to it. It's a new system to it. So us eating unhealthy keeps us. Let's just talk about brain fog, right? So it keeps us from thinking ourselves. So if you ever heard Earl Nightingale, he has a thing called the secret, something of that sort. Forgive me. And he talks about this. He says one of the doctors said, "What is the problem with men today? Men simply don't think." And there's another one by Napoleon Hill called Outwitting the Devil. And he said one of the biggest problems that we have, how the devil has his grips on us, is that we don't think for ourselves. So if we could be
Mm,
pushed in front of news, if we could be pushed in front of, what is it? Malcolm X said, the media is the one of the most powerful evil entities because it can make an innocent man look guilty and a guilty man look innocent. So if you're pumping everybody, think of it this way. I'm getting to your answer. Think of it this way. Think of cows in an assembly line in a slaughterhouse. They're just going through this line to get slaughtered. Think of us if you put this media in front of us and we're programming us to think that this way, this is health. These so-called foods are healthy, like you talked about earlier, and we eat that, but it's not healthy. It keeps your brain not be able to function as well as a person who is eating healthy. So why do they want us to be unhealthy? Because we're easier to control. We can't think for ourselves. We're stuck in a trap that they created a system, which I just said, slavery is not done. It hasn't finished. It's just a new shape of it. All we did was say, hey, here's a system and now it works for itself.
right.
If you want to sit there and change the world, at the most, change their foods, genetically modify their foods.
It's not going to happen.
I'm saying they changed it for us. They
Yeah,
changed
yeah,
it.
yeah.
If you want to, forgive me, if you want to control the world,
Yeah,
control their foods. That's it.
yeah.
So that's why it wants to, these people so-called died on their own.
Mhm.
You're healthy, but you so-called died on your own.
Yeah.
It's a whole system and a whole programming that continuously we keep falling for, but until you see it, and then of course you're on the radar at that point.
How hard was it for you to break mental programming?
Man, it's still consistent, but I'm gonna say it takes courage. It takes courage, and I think it was either Earl Nightingale or I think it was in a video I heard on Earl Nightingale. He said it this way: the opposite of courage today is complacency. So you've heard it many times from older folks and sometimes ourselves. This is just who I am. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And it's like with that mentality, we continue passing on to the younger generation for them to think this is just who you are. You can't change it. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. We look outside of ourselves and says that need to change, that need to change, that need to change, but we never look and say I need to change. So it was hard because I had to be aware of the needing change. It's literally letting people know that hey, change is necessary, change is needed. But if you feel that you're the person that you don't need to change, you are the problem in the world. That's why things
Mm,
we have these old conservatives that want to go back to the 50s and 60s or that don't work well for me. It's like change is inevitable. You have to move forward. If you want something better in your life, move forward. So, yeah, I would say, was it easy? It wasn't easy. It was challenging because I had to be a person that had to take accountability and say, this is who I was. And in order for me to change this, it takes work that I must do. So, yeah, I would
mm.
say it's not easy, but it does take courage. And the opposite of courage is complacency because most people, they lose their dreams at 25 and they're like, there's no point in me doing changing. This is just who I am. And that there is a lie you're telling yourself.
It is a lie because I thought the same myself, and I went back to school at 32, graduated and all that, but like you said, the mental programming, it was like you can't do it no more, bro. You're too old to go to school, but my mom kept pushing me and I did. And I it's hard for me to battle that mental programming, uh, you know, the way we work, the cell phones. For instance, right now I'm trying to study for a new certification. I get on here, get on my computer and this and that, and next thing you know, I'm like this. Now, I'm gonna have to get you on here once a week. We go 20-minute talk because man, you spitting some game out of here, bro. And I appreciate that because I have to change myself. No
Yeah.
one's perfect, but I'm trying to get there. But it's like I said, it's a constant battle with life.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not perfect. I still work on me every day. But I'll share this with you. It's is what you talked about. You're here to change and you're observing because I could share all this knowledge, but if no one wants to hear, no one's pick it up, what's the point? It's like you're speaking on dead ears. But then also I can give you all this knowledge, but knowledge, this misconception of knowledge is power, that's a lie. It's applied knowledge. Because if you're not going to do anything with it, what's the point? You could have a library. Remember back in the day, before we had the internet, we had all them encyclopedias.
Yeah.
We had to open them up to use them to learn and absorb that information. So the same thing you're providing with all these people here. It's like unless they listen and they start applying the information that they're receiving, there's no point. I literally
Yeah.
have a mindset shift video. On my video, I tell you, if you don't have a paper out right now, turn the video off because there's no point in you being here.
Mm,
I call you out on that. And a while ago, you said there was programming where you say you feel like you're getting older. You started a podcast, my guy.
yeah.
Without you breaking that and going against that thought, that program, you wouldn't be here having this discussion or discussions you have in the past and the ones that's coming here in the future. So I would tell
Yeah.
you, congrats on breaking that, seeing that, and still moving past it. That's what it takes courage. That
Oh yeah.
certification you're doing, it takes courage. So good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did this personal journey help you with starting your own business?
Oh, so like I said, I was in real estate, so I had an independent contractor business already. But me seeing like when you break that with the help of the medicinal, helping me going through my own transformation physically, mentally, emotionally, and then receiving of the real estate challenge for those 2 days of healing, all that came together saying, you know what, other people need to see this because I just talked about it. Slavery is not done. It's just a new form, new system. So I'm like, how can you help other people break that? How can you help other people get away from that? The biggest thing right now is that like if you want to control the world, you control the people's food. So if you could sit there and go back and getting people into doing their own garden, and some people they don't have it. They're like I have a patio in my apartment complex. You could do more than many. You could go find out community gardens, getting in contact with people and go start doing things. If you have a house, you can do it in your backyard. So it helped me realize, especially as us, we're stuck based off of things that happened to us. So because I had a Jamaican accent younger, I put in ESL, put in speech classes, put in remedial class, failed the first grade. So if you're taking a little kid and saying, you're wrong here, you're wrong here, you're wrong here, you're wrong here, that programs into myself and say, I'm wrong. I'm not worthy. I'm not smart enough. But let me show the world I'm smart enough. So what happens is our ego takes over. I need to show you. So we try to prove to everybody else something that we aren't or something we're trying to prove to. And then realize we're not living our own lives. So until I realized that our programming since we were children, since we were very young aged, is actually what causing us to take our actions today. So this is why I look at people and I say, I don't judge them like that. If they're mad, they're upset or whatever, I look and say, something. There's something there. What happened to you? When people mad, like super mad, I put a post out the other day and a guy like ragged on women. I said, who hurt you? I'm like, my guy. It's like, this had nothing to do with you saying this. But I realize it's because things that we have gone through that has happened to us, our environment since we were children. So my health and my business is helping people break those patterns so they can become the greatest versions of themselves and not continue allowing a programming to program them and rule their lives and their actions they take on a day-to-day basis. So that's why the business was created. So yeah,
So what patterns do you see the most on the people that you're helping now?
with the stories they tell themselves. That was one big one I learned on that challenge as well. It's the excuses that we tell ourselves why we can't get there. We want more, but then the person who doesn't want more anymore is the person who gave up living. So I think it's Albert Einstein. It's like if you stop learning, you don't want the need to learn. It's like you stop living. Our
Mm,
thing is always going to be more, more, more. It's not to be greedy. It's like you have this experience that you're wanting to experience, this thing you're wanting to create. Think of it. You have the creator. We are part of the creator. Your job is to create something new and experience. So, um, me itself of the programming, seeing means most people program it is this the thing they tell themselves the doubts, the fears, the concerns why they can't do something. And here's the biggest one as well. We talked about earlier. We take care of everything else outside of ourselves, but not our health. Today, people will invest in their rims. They'll invest into the massages. They'll invest into their cars. They'll invest into their cameras, their equipment. They'll do all this other stuff, but they won't invest into their health. And I don't mean going to a
mm,
doctor or going to go get Tylenol. I don't mean that. I mean being proactive with your health today so you don't have to do it tomorrow. I mean, you're still going to do it tomorrow,
yeah.
but so you don't get that
But not in a
big
bad
bill
way. Not in a
tomorrow.
bad
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that over the stories is that people will invest in everything else because they don't feel like they're worthy of their health. Or they feel like, here's the biggest one. Here's the biggest one, actually. So there's an old African proverb. There's three for you now. Okay. There's an old
Well,
African
hey, we
proverb.
need all the knowledge we can, brother. Keep on speaking.
It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to
Mm,
go far, go together. So
mm,
the biggest misconception we had that we were programmed with is you have to do it by yourself. And your ego says, I'm going to do it by myself because nobody helps me. And every time we say nobody helps it, we block off the blessing for people who want to help us. So the biggest lie misconception that we have is that we have to do it by ourselves. And then when we hear this type of knowledge and we receive this type of knowledge, we don't act on it because we're like, I already knew that. And the moment you say, I already knew that, you block off your blessings of receiving. That's it.
mm,
You don't allow transformation to happen at a seated level, at a subconscious level, because our conscious and our subconscious, we're being programmed by our subconscious. We don't know why we make decisions based off of the program that we have. So when you get out of your own way, you start putting yourself around people is going to tie in. You start putting yourself around people who are growing and doing the same thing that you want to move toward. Because it says, show me your 5 friends and I can show you your life. If you have 5 friends that talk, bitter, angry, upset, gossip, you will be the 6th. Show me your 5 friends. They drink alcohol, they smoke weed, they do all sorts of stuff. You will be the 6th. You're
that's right.
hustling, doing whatever. You will be the 6th. So start putting yourself around the right people who are growing in the direction you want to go towards, your health, your growth. My community, we focus on health, growth, and healing. Start getting out of your way thinking you had to do it by yourself. So that goes with the community. Go with getting the lies, the excuses, everything out. And then the other one was I forgot the other one that we just talked about. But yeah, so I would say those are the biggest misconceptions.
What makes a structured, holistic approach more sustainable for the long term?
Because you're being proactive with it, you're being proficient with it. You're saying, I'm going to make the choices today so I can live a longer tomorrow. They have, I think it's 7 zones in the world, and they're creating more and more. It's called blue zones. And these blue zones are, I think you say centurion, people who live over 100. And they have many of these places. One is in California. They have one in Mexico. There's a Netflix, a documentary on Netflix. It's called Blue Zones, I believe. And a gentleman in Mexico on a horse. He just riding his horse, getting his cattle, like getting all of them together. 100 years old, jumping up and down that horse like it's nothing. Because the foods he put into his body, he takes care of himself, physically active. His cognitive brain. You think 100 years old, you think like, hey, this person should be in a nursing home. No, because he take care of himself. So holistic wellness is that you're literally saying, I'm going to be proactive, proficient with my health today. So tomorrow I can have a long quality life. So how I'm looking at it is I'm helping people build longevity. I'm delaying death. So that's why I look at it as holistic health. And it's mind, body, spirit, and emotion, because body itself, if you work out, you lower cortisol. Emotion, so if you're, like I talk about journaling, if you're emotional, you're getting these emotions out. So you're getting the stress off of you. You're not carrying all these demons, all this weight on our shoulders, because we say, hey, I'm free. I get this off. I'm liberated from all that. So emotions, spiritual, you have a line tapped into source, universe, whatever you look like for you. If those who don't, if it's yourself, your higher self, that's what it is. And then, so emotional, physical, mental. If you can't think right, you lose it all. It's sad to see people with Alzheimer's and they have these families they've been with for 50 plus years and they don't remember their name. They don't remember who they are. Our foods play a big part in that. It's wild. And many of these things that we have, diabetes, high blood pressure, you'll be like, oh, my auntie had that. This is why I got it. It's not hereditary. It's not. The programming to get you
That's
there
what
is
that's what
hereditary.
they tell us. That's what they
Yeah,
tell us at the
yeah,
doctor.
yeah. It's a programming that gets you there. That's hereditary. So we eat what our family ate, and somewhere it slipped up because processed foods came around in the 70s, 60s. That's when processed foods came. So why our great great grandfathers and everybody lived so long, because they didn't have processed foods. We have it now because it's convenient and it's cheaper, and that's designed that way. It's literally designed that way. So if you think about it, I saw something the other day that said McDonald's has like 63 million burgers they sell in a month. It's a lot of
Damn.
burgers. They said it would
That's a lot
take they said it would take 97,000 cows to be slaughtered a month for that. Do you know we don't have that? So where are those burgers being
yeah.
made? How are those
In a
burgers
lab,
being made?
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking at it that way, it's like, wait, hold on. We don't have that many cows to produce that. And that's just McDonald's. What about Burger King? What about Wendy's? What about all these other places? That's just their supply. So until we actually become conscious and aware of what we're putting into our body, our system, our digestive system, they're going to keep winning the game and we're going to keep losing it for decades, for centuries, and we're passing this down to our kids. Yeah.
Mhm. Come from the island. I come from the islands.
Yeah.
I see people that are, like you said, 70, 80, 90 years old doing things physically
Yeah.
that our 70-year-old people now that they can't do,
Yep. That's how it goes.
you know? And I'm like, how does that work? Is the food that they used to eat compared to what we eat now?
About earlier, you had that chronological age and you had that biological age. So if you're eating horribly, you have this chronological age, but your biological age is going up faster than your body can control. So
Mm.
now you look older because how you've been eating. Everything starts coming in faster. So you look much older than how you actually are. But if you eat healthy, you look younger than how old you actually are. So it makes a difference. It's crazy, right?
So we're about to close, got a few
Yeah.
points to hit.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening right now, feels overweight, exhausted, but they still show up to work, and not knowing what to do, what do you tell that person?
Man, just start making one small transition if you can. Like I talked about the labels, don't think you got to do it all at once, because anytime you start creating a new habit, your brain expands and it puts you as a new standard. So anytime you're doing something and you start small, chipping away very small, it builds so much. So if you're in a desperate situation, When it comes down to functional medicine, holistic wellness compared to traditional Western medicine, use it when it's needed. So don't feel like I'm coming here telling you don't go to your doctor. It's like if you know that you need it right then and there, go for it. But start just considering like being proficient in making small steps because success is nothing but small failures and learning from those failures and it becomes success. Growth, everything's gonna grow. It's not gonna feel comfortable. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just know it's not gonna be comfortable going against your habit. Muscles grow by it being torn. It has to tear. So as you're doing some new habit, you're building it, part of you is going to tear because part of the old version of you has to die for you to become the best version of who you are meant to become. Whoever you're meant to become, the old version has to die off. So don't feel it's going to be easy. If you're feeling overwhelmed, one small step at a time. That's it. Don't think it has to be everything at one time.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you the energy drink. The energy drinks, the caffeine, that's gonna be a big one for many of us because I used to do it. The Red Bulls, and when Red Bulls came out, all those new flavors, I was like, my gosh, thank you. Getting that out of the system, caffeine is a stimulant. So as we're putting caffeine in our body, we say it's like stealing energy from tomorrow, and then we have to refill once again just to have the energy to make it through. Our body will stop creating the natural energy it's needed. So when we start breaking away from caffeine, our body start recreating that for us so we could have that energy. But if we keep putting it in our system, we're shocking our system. We can't, it's not going to come up by itself. Now we become dependent upon that. And whenever you break away from it, you're going to have headaches. There are different things you can do when you're having headaches. If you're home and you're having a severe headache, throw your foot in some hot water, some Epsom salt if you want. It'll rush that pressure, the blood from your head down to your feet. So this way it gets out of your head. Water. This is the biggest thing, especially here in the States. Water is not our number one choice to drink. Soda, however you call it, pop, whatever y'all call it, that is the number one choice. That and juice. Juice, bad sugar. I don't care if you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or not diabetic. We should not be drinking juice like that. It's too heavy. But our water, if we get more water in, think of your brain's made up over 70% of water. Our body's made up over 80% of water. It's made of water, and we're not drinking it. And you're saying, I'm surviving. Your kidneys are going to stop surviving eventually. So get that water in. That's the biggest thing that I see majority of the problem that majority of my clients have. Water.
one last question. So, what
Yeah.
does true health means to you today?
Having the courage to show up and making a difference in your investing into yourself so you can show up for the people that you love. Because without that, your job will replace you. But the people that you love and love you, if you don't take care of you today, when you lose yourself, you die, you get sick, whatever it is, it's going to come back on the people you love. So true health to me means today is looking in the mirror, having courage and saying, there's something that needs to change. And then seeking help if you need help. So I think that's the truth of health today.
I just want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. A lot of knowledge, man. You know, and I hope that, like you said, you know, you can put all the information out there. It's up to you to take it. I learned a lot from you, man, and I hope that we do this again. How can they reach you? How can they find your business, your website, your TikTok or Instagram?
Yeah. All right. So for my socials, you could always look up Simeon.Itoria as a first name, Itoria, Etoria. That's my profile names. I would tell you be mindful on TikTok and Instagram. Unfortunately, many people have taken my picture and my videos and putting stuff out there. So just look for the one that has a larger follower count. You can find me on social media that way. Also, Facebook is my first and last name. For my business, depending on what you're looking for, we have that 14-day mucoid plaque detox. You go to cleanseandhealwithin.com. That's the supplements. But if you're looking for community, live life community, and I could drop you my link and stuff so you can share with everybody in the description if you like.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. All right.